Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the business breakfast briefers. I'm Mark Owen, editor and owner of PunchlineGloucester.com, and each week I invite a panel of business experts to review the morning newspapers, find out what's happened in their own individual business, their own individual business sectors, and finally what's caught their eye in this week's Punchline. But before I start, I just want to thank our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and we'll also be doing a special question time where the panel get to ask each other a question as well. Okay, but before I start, I just want to thank our sponsors again, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors. Okay, let's talk to Paul Fong. He's the Managing Director of Morgan Elliot Planning, independent town planning consultancy. The company celebrated its third year in business a few weeks ago. They employ 9 staff based in Cheltenham. Paul is involved in the major expansion of the Ashville Business Park with the promise of 1,000 jobs, but a storm of protest is gathering against the proposals to replace the Dowty Sports and Social site on the park. And if we've got time, hopefully we'll talk to him also about the new Sharpness development as well. We've got Samina Khan, founder and owner of Gold Earth, handcrafted oils for hair, skin, and soul from hair loss to healing. Based in Highworth, she launched the business just over a year ago. I first met her on a market store in Morton in the Marsh, and she's been back on tour, selling on craft stores and town markets across the county. It is a tough business, and so we're going to find out how it's all going from there. We got Jim Trehorne, co-owner and founder of Bloom AI, set up the business with his partner Lloyd Parker less than a year ago with one clear mission: to demystify the new business age of AI and guide any residing anxieties towards understanding, confidence, and even excitement about it. So we'll find out how his business is going and what type of businesses are picking up the AI first. So we'll find out from that. And finally, we got Jeffrey Lewis, co-owner of Restaurant Journey. He opened with his partner Kerry Lewis in May this year. They are serving incredibly global food in their intimate restaurant in Cheltenham. They serve just 16 guests per night across 3 nights a week. Restaurant Journey is intentionally small and intimate and a secret location that guests uncover through a series of clues. It is an amazing restaurant. I've been fortunate to dine there, but the hospitality trade is tough. So we'll find out the secret to their success. Okay, let's see what's making the headlines today. We have, starting off, the Times. It's a real mixed bag of headlines today, by the way. The Times deal to give frozen 8 billion from Russia to Ukraine. But the story that's really caught my eye is this: unlimited payout plan for unfair dismissals. Absolutely crazy. The Guardian. Farage hits out of fresh claims of vindictive teenage racism emerge. The Daily Mail. Farage, it ain't half hot, mum. Attack on BBC double standards. The Financial Times. Side by side, India renews ties to Russia. The Sun. John Trehorne. I'm in therapy over TV acts. The Daily Express. Fears of worst flu wave to strike NHS this winter. The Star. Not out. The Mirror. Dawn's blood on his hands. The Independent, Putin's personally ordered Novichok attack on Salisbury's. The Daily Telegraph, Lammy breaks rank on Brexit. The Eye, ignorant call to Labour Party welfare. Okay, that's all the headlines. It's a real mixed bag. Let's start with you, Paul. Welcome to
Yeah.
the show.
Morning, Mark. How you doing?
I'm all
Um,
good. I'm getting
good.
there, thanks.
Good. Couple of headlines that I'd like to just to bring up is first is the front page of the Telegraph. Lammy breaks ranks on Brexit. I think it's about time that we face this elephant in the room. Um, Brexiteers never promised us any real rules or understanding of what Brexit would actually do. We have understood there is a slowdown in the economy, and actually the Labour government needs to take a grip of this and move forward and get back into the customs union if they can. I know it goes against what we voted for, but what did we actually vote for in the end? My next news article, which I think is an interesting one, is in The Guardian, page 31 on the business section. Slowdown in the construction, sharpest since first lockdown of pandemic. Yes, we have had a bit of a slowdown. Yes, it has been a bit tough. The small to medium house builders are finding it quite tough out there. The reason being is because we've all stopped to wait to see what the budget was doing. The budget to me was very disappointing. There wasn't much going on there. There wasn't no shock in it at all. It's likely now that businesses are going to restart, especially the construction industry, and start pushing forward with developments because they have more confidence. There's more mortgage products out there. People are committing in to buy houses again. So I'm optimistic that next year is going to be a much brighter year for the construction industry. And Mark, I'm just going to finish. I'm very much involved in the development and construction industry. And on page 22, 23 of The Guardian, there's a wonderful article about brutalist architecture in Scotland. The reason I raise it is because architecture is such a subjective issue, and I get thrown into so many subjective arguments that you cannot explain in the planning world. And this brutalist architecture, you're either going to love it or hate it. And a lot of people love it. English Heritage have listed many of these buildings. A lot of people hate it because it is brutalist by nature. So those are
Okay, and
some
just
interesting things.
very quickly then, so do you like it or do you hate it?
I think every piece of architecture has its place. What I don't like is pastiche architecture, copying architecture of the past. I don't think that's got a place, but I think actually architecture should thrive in its own world, and there's a place for all modern architecture.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that great roundup, Paul. Okay, Samina, great to have you on the show. Great to see you again, by the way.
Thank
What
you
have you
for
picked
having
out
me.
for us?
Well, I'd like to discuss the review will study rising diagnosis of ADHD, where they're thinking of cutting costs, and also independent review on diagnostic. And the reason I chose that is close to home. In past, I work as a teaching assistant with children's with autism, ADHD, suffering myself with ADHD, and I think it's a very, very big subject that has been ignored. People are still waiting for their children to be diagnosed, for elderly, the. I was just reading somewhere here that the rise and the diagnosis being is 67. No, hang on. So, sorry, I have put it all the paper, but the
Don't worry, it's okay.
I've
So,
got it here.
so the numbers have gone up basically,
So
and they're not.
increase, sorry, yeah, there you go, 78% between 2019 and 2023. And mostly from age 16 to 34, taking long-term sickness due to the mental health. Now they almost coming hard on them, cutting the benefit of it because they think either is they're making excuses or it's an easy way out. It's not. That's the whole thing. Is I've got
It's it's okay. Samina, I know for a fact my daughter works in a school. It's incredibly difficult, and they just don't have the finances. That is the crux of the story. Thanks ever so much for that. We'll move on to Jim. I'm sure we might come back to it in a second. Jim, great to have you on the show. What have you picked out from the papers, please?
Yeah, good morning, Mark. Great to be here. Well, I'm starting with the Times, page 20. There's an article, Teacher Training Boom as Young Seek AI-Proof Jobs. And what they're seeing is a glut of new teacher training positions being filled because young people are trying to avoid jobs that are vulnerable to AI takeover in the future. I think it's a little bit of hyperbole here because equally there's massive vacancies within the graduate job market with regards to education, and also there's more funding for salaries. So I think that's probably what's driving it. But yeah, absolutely. This is the start of the conversation as to whether AI is going to take our jobs. Further on in the Times, coincidentally, there's an article about the actors' strike because AI is taking over actor jobs. So it's very, very interesting, isn't it? Because AI is here to stay. The tube's out of the paste is out of the tube. And to what extent should we be concerned that AI is going to take our jobs? A really interesting article, and we see more of that in the newspaper. As a quick jump over, we've got in the Express, young hustlers trigger an entrepreneur boom. The article's about young entrepreneurs struggling to find funding as a new business owner and running an AI consultancy for business. I think that's really interesting. The UK economy is the third largest in the world for AI, worth 172 billion. The government has its AI Opportunities Action Plan. Yet, as a young business, we also struggled to find funding in the early stages, despite the fact that we're an AI company, where you would think there were lots of funding. So, two articles that resonate certainly with me in terms of AI in our economy, and also in the way that we're going to be employing our staff going forward.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that. Great selection as well. Jeff, I don't think AI is going to replace the chef, though. That's one thing you should be pretty safe about, isn't it? Really, it's just not going to happen. But let's go into that later on, maybe. What have you picked out for the papers?
I picked out a more light-hearted story, but it's got an interesting topic, which I had a conversation with my wife earlier about as well. It's happiest places to live in the UK. It's actually a Sky story this morning, and the winner, if you're interested, is Skipton in North Yorkshire. And there's a list of other towns, and it's kind of what makes you happy where you live. I mean, let's face it, we spend 50% of our life usually at home, or possibly a bit less for some people, but it's a place you've got to be happy at. And I think a good happy foundation is a fantastic way to structure your life. I mean, we've recently moved house earlier this year, just before we opened the restaurant. And honestly, best place I've ever lived. It's nothing to do with size of property or anything. It's location. We're rural, sheep out looking out the window, churches and or church, one church, farmland, etc. And it's beautiful. But everyone's got a different take on what makes them a happy home, and it's an interesting conversation because that surely permeates into all aspects of life. If you go to work as a happy person from home, everything about your life is happy. And I think it begins with home. So I found it a really interesting article. Certainly for me, it's relevant as I've recently moved, but I'd be interested what other people think of that.
Okay, no, I totally agree with you there. Be happy at home. Just for interest, did it say why Skipton in particular?
Yeah,
Why the
well,
people are
yeah,
so happy there?
I'm glad you asked. So they're home to a medieval castle, a shopping arcade, a museum, and an array of independent shops. But mostly it was people voting for it were generally in proximity to their family. There was excellent employment opportunities, good range of shops, and countryside around them, being on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales. So you look at that demographically, the type of people that want that type of lifestyle. Number two was Kingston upon Thames, which is the polar opposite. But again, it was very similar reasons of there was parkland, obviously river around them, good access to amenities, good education, etc. So the reasons why people like living in a certain area actually had common ground for the first five, and then it varied slightly. But I think there's a trend there of what people want. I don't know how Camden made it into the top 10. It doesn't quite fit into that same demographic, but generally speaking, it was people clearly voting for this, seeking a more relaxed way of life.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff, and a very relaxed Jeff there, actually. Yeah. Okay, let's go over to you, back over to you, Paul. I'm going to share on the screen so that people can really understand what we're talking about when we're talking about Asheville. I've brought up the Google Maps here, so here we go. So this is Asheville Business Park. Just that's Brinkhampton
Brickhampton
Golf
Golf.
Course. This is Church down there. The airport's here, and here we go. As I zoom in here. So we're talking about the area over here. So if I bring that like that, okay, Paul. So this is the new proposed
Yeah.
site. How big is it, first of all?
It's about 17 hectares, Mark, and roughly 22,000 square meters of new employment space. This is critical for the Gloucestershire economy. And if you just spin back up to the plan at the top there, you'll see some names in there. There are some fairly major businesses that require expansion. So that you are aware, there is limited new employment space within Gloucestershire. I know that sounds unusual, but trying to find new serviced employment land in Gloucestershire is very difficult. And to get good expansion, we have to now build out new sites. And this is exactly what this does. This is going to be fairly critical for the whole business park, Mark, because there are auxiliary elements in here, which when we've spoken to the businesses adjoining, the existing businesses adjoining, They want something else in the business locality that they can do at lunchtime. So we've added small things like a gym, a shop, a cafe, and then we have put in a mobility hub as well, because if you have noticed along that road, Gloucestershire County Council has put a lovely green cycle path linking sort of Churchdown, Gloucester and Cheltenham, which I think is amazing. And I think they've done a really good job of that. We're going to link into that, and we're going to make sure that there is the ability of all the new businesses on site to shift their mode of transport from driving to cycling, walking, whichever they choose to do. So this element is critical. This employment element is critical. You're going to ask me about the sports club.
Yeah.
Yep, that is noted. And this month last month we sat down with the sports club and the district council, and we discussed the replacement provision of new pitches. And north of the site, we have now purchased land so that we will put in a like-for-like sports pitch provision at the top of the site. It's going to be new and modern sports facilities. So where the Dowty Sports Club was struggling before with membership income, we're going to introduce new facilities such as a new gymnasium, a paddle court, a mugger, which is a multi-use games area, all of which will be available to the businesses as well as the sports club, so that their financial fortunes will be better. And then there will be a like-for-like provision of pitches, so those that play football at the weekend can play football as well.
Okay, sounds really good. Let's just very quickly flip over to the Sharpness. So this is the Sharpness development. Very quickly, Paul, how big is this and how's it moving on?
It's going very well. That is 2,750 houses plus 10 hectares of business park. It is a unique design because it is centered on creating active travel routes as the primary route of transportation. So all those in the residential neighbourhoods, if you look at that plan there, the central facilities are where the shops, the services, the mobility hubs, the businesses are located. All the residential neighbourhoods on the periphery of that will be linked by active travel routes. And what I mean by active travel routes are cycle paths, walkways, which are segregated from roads, so that the easiest and quickest mode of transport here would be to get on your bike and cycle to the station, to the shop, to your place of employment. The reason I want to do that is because 24% of our pollution emissions in the UK is from private transport. Not lorries, not buses, but private transport. So if I can just tackle this in a new settlement, which I've done here, then I'm going to reduce emissions quite significantly. The other thing to note there is to the west of this site, there is a new and significant extension to the nature reserve there. And part of our development is also to create what we call a SANG, which is a strategic alternative natural green space, so that residents can enjoy walking, playing everything in the SANG, and the nature reserve is separated from that. This is a unique growth concept. We've got a planning application in presently. It's likely to be determined early next year. We're meeting with the council on Monday to finalise a few transport issues. It's got the support of the council and it's moving forward. The difficulty, Mark, with this is the local plan in Stroud, which you've heard all about. We had 2 inspectors, quite difficult inspectors, who have asked the council to withdraw the local plan. That's left a gap in the housing supply, but we're pursuing the planning application in any event.
Okay, thanks ever so much, Paul. Sorry, I had to kind of speed you up there a little bit, but no, really interesting. Obviously, we'll keep a very close eye on that. Let's bring you in, Samina. Hey, look, there's your Gold Earth products. I mean, I know when I talked to you in the past how passionate. I was walking past Samina and a very cold in Morton and Marsh, wasn't it? On a market stall there, and you were selling it. You were selling your products. So let's talk it through very quickly. So, what exactly are they?
So they are handcrafted natural oils. We now even won a national award for it, the Vegan Beauty Award, since then. So it's been a year. We have achieved that. They are purely the base oils made of black seed oil, hemp seed oil. And basically for what I went through when I lost all my hair and my health, the Gold Earth hair essence from my family, and then I modified it, even put more. I had experience with being a hairdresser and beautician. So there you go. It's the skin oil, the hair oils. What amazing about it is people do come back now and saying they cure their psoriasis, eczema, any scalp condition, stress. It does wonders for stress, especially the night oils like black seed oil, frankincense, myrrh, geranium. So all of these ingredients have been put together. And also, since last year, I saw you not just winning the award, we have just did the grand opening yesterday at the Highworth town centre as well.
So, well, you have a shop. You got a retail shop.
We have a retail shop now.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realise that.
Non-stop,
Well,
and that's what I'm not so prepared, because I was working till at least 1 o'clock, and I had 3 events to organize this past few days, plus the shop, plus the everything else. So I'm normally a very organized person.
Don't worry. Look, we the thing about what I always love about you is your passion for what you actually do. And the thing about it also is, I don't think people realize when your hair falls out, especially as a woman, the anxiety and the way that you feel about yourself is such a massive mental health shock, isn't it?
I get messages from males, university students. They don't want to come front of it, but the embarrassment that they feel, and it's not just they feel they don't want their friends to know, their partner, they will buy it in secret. And it's a very taboo subject, but I have been there, and I remember I felt it. So, we would do anything to cover it up, or put bandana, or put a hat on, or put extension, but men can't do that. And yes, and I had a lady who was in her 90s, and she came up quietly to me and she said to me, "Is it too late for me?" And my words were to her, "If you had a mature plant that gives the most shade and the most fruit, would you not feed it?" I said, "It's never too late." So
very quickly, going from market stalls as well to your shop is a giant leap, giant investment. I mean, how many market stalls have you done over this past year?
I'm still doing it, even though the shop is there. So today, I'm also going to, after the interview, I'm going to go open the shop. Then I'm going to, by 4 o'clock, fill it up. So the moment I'm doing Chipping Morton and Marsh, Banbury, Cirencester, Gloucester. Then I do the events as well. So whatever I can get. Yes, I wish there was more of me. Sometimes it's exhausting, but it's.
Well, you've got to set this. Sorry, I just want to say, because you've got to set the stall up. You've got to drive there. You've got to set the stall up. It might be pouring down with rain.
Morning. Yeah, I'm going to set it up for tomorrow morning. So I'll set it up today. It's in Cornwall. Then early morning, I will do other things. And so I can be there for 9:30, that everything is set and it's ready to go and face the customers.
But what about the income from that? I mean, how much money do you make on a market stall? Very quickly, I'm kind of running out of start time.
So it has dropped. It has dropped since, I would say, end of September. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle, not just for me, for the local people, the other traders, the market thing, because at the end of the day, you've got to understand there's people wants to go with big store, big brands, and it doesn't matter how pure you sell your product, they will go and pay for the big names. So
okay, it's a tough business. I tell you what, running a business, any business, is tough. So thank you, Samina. Okay, Jim, let's come over to you. Great to see you, mate. AI, it is all the rage. You've hit the hot spot, haven't you? Or the sweet spot?
Well, certainly the interest and activity in our business since our incorporation at the beginning of the year has been fantastic, and I think that's very much an indication of every organisation's interest in AI. And many organisations, they just don't know where to start. Okay, everybody knows that AI is coming, and that AI can offer them significant opportunity, but they don't understand what that opportunity is. And they certainly don't understand what the inherent risks of using AI are. So yeah, great topic, really interesting subject to form a business around. And yeah, since our inception, yeah, going great guns, Mark. Thanks.
Is there particular sectors that are coming to you, and turning around quicker?
It's an interesting question because the answer is no. So AI is ubiquitous across all industries. We're working with legal firms, tax advisors, education providers, local government, manufacturing, because general AI can help all of those organizations. But then when we start looking at specific solutions, such as agents or agentic solutions or predictive analytics to forecast particular outcomes, then we can start mapping those specific solutions to the processes of that business. So you've got the generic side of AI that all businesses can benefit from, and then you've got those bespoke solutions and deployments that are very unique and tailored towards that specific business and the outcomes that they're looking for strategically, which is where they see tremendous value over the long term.
And not being funny, to some of these, I would imagine some of these projects take an awful lot of time to actually, from the starting point to the fulfillment.
We start off with the low hanging fruit. We don't want organizations. AI changes so fast and so quickly, as we all know. What we don't want to do is jump in feet first with a great big complex project for an organization that's gonna take months and months and months, if not years. But we tend to always start at the lower end, deploying productivity tools such as Copilot and ChatGPT, and helping organizations understand how can you use those tools effectively, how can you train your staff, because you need staff buy-in, because most staff, as per the Times article, most staff are concerned about them losing their jobs or impacting their jobs. So ensuring you get staff engagement, you're training your staff, and deploying those low-level tools safely and securely is where we tend to start. Once we build the AI maturity within an organization, then we can start to look at higher value, more complex tasks and solutions that invariably require a larger investment, but invariably give a greater return on investment over the long term.
Okay, well, thanks ever so much for that, Jim. I don't even know, but Jim and I are working together on Punchline as well, so I'm looking forward to working with him in 2026. Jeff, let's go over to you. Loved your restaurant. I must admit, I couldn't find it. I drove around all over the place, and he came to my metal door. So we do have a video on our website, which I will link to this story, by the way. So Jeff, how is the business going? Because let me bring it up first of all, the sort of stuff that you do.
It's
Jeff, so how's it going, Jeff? How's the
Yeah,
business going?
honestly great. We're enjoying what we do. We're not obviously feeding thousands of people every week. It's a very small crowd that we are preparing food for. And yeah, I'm lucky, man. I work with great people that share a passion, and yeah, we try and create some beautiful food every week, and the guests are equally as beautiful. That sounds a bit sort of soppy and stuff, but honestly, we have a huge amount of repeat guests, and then the people that they would recommend us to, obviously, people hang out with like people. So we're very lucky. We have a great group of guests, a lot of familiar faces every single week. And yeah, it's a happy place. We enjoy what we do. I don't want to sound too fluffy. It's just a fact. We're still quite new, and we're enjoying a little wave of just yeah, great people and good times.
Now you've obviously travelled the world, you and Kenny, and this is where these dishes are inspired from, isn't it? So, what's this particular dish? If you don't mind me asking, looks
So
fantastic.
well, that one is literally called bacon and egg. And what you see there is a quite a powerful bacon velouté to the left inside the egg, which is obviously a paradox in its own right. But on the right hand side is a perfectly cooked egg yolk inside panko breadcrumb. And to eat that, you would obviously pick up the panko egg, bite into it, and then pour the yolk into the bacon velouté. And you with along with the texture from the panko shell, you literally have bacon and egg on toast as you're eating it.
Wow. Okay.
So
And I had this, which is an Argentinian steak, and again, it's not like your normal steak.
No, goes through a process. I mean, I think there's a 13 herb rub that happens 2 days prior. It's dry aged, taking it to a total of 30 days, 28 prior to the rub. And then on day of cooking, there's a garlic, thyme, rosemary rub, and then cooked with just Maldon and butter, hard seared to get a nice crust, and then brushed with a 16-point chimichurri in effect, to bring it in line with the rest of the Argentinian flavors.
No, I must admit the decor is fantastic as well. By the way, guys, this is a big, massive screen, and if you don't mind me plugging it for you, is that you play the different food, isn't it? We play the different screens, the different dishes.
Yeah, so each dish, I mean, obviously that dish we just talked about, the bacon and egg, isn't part of the current menu, but the dishes on the menu are, yeah, they're all inspired by places that we've been or have worked around the world, Southeast Asia, South America, and so on, China, etc. And the screen and the temperature in the room and the music, etc., will all move in line with the food that the front of house colleagues give amazing descriptions that bring the dish to life. So you can get a plate of food anywhere, but we like to try to bring the food to life, and that's assisted by relevant imagery on the screen as well. If you're eating a Norwegian pre-dessert and you've got snowy Lofoten Islands in the background and the room temperature's dropped a little bit, you're there basically, along with a rich description. So that's how we go about what we do.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, guys, unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time. I've gone over time already, would you believe? So we're going to skip it straight over to the pick of the punchlines. Samina, what have you picked out for punchline, please, this week?
So I picked up the local businesses, for the traders, how they're going through the struggle, especially since September, since the summer has gone and the kids gone back to school. And especially, I mean, okay, for me, I go to different places, but there are people who can't do that. They don't have mobility, especially either disability. I have other traders around me who severely disabled in their wheelchair, and they're doing markets. There's not much help out there. There's not much help out from the government, and the struggle. And to be honest, there isn't much support there. I mean, I know there's big businesses and there's shops, and okay, I am one of the shop now, but I still can't forget I'm still part of them, and I still like to represent them, to help them. So that's something I would love for everybody to notice, especially the big businesses that doing all the building, and I would like them to look into that as well and offer some sort of support. Because the end of
Okay.
the day, I always say, most customers say that they come out more when the market day is on. So those traders bringing those businesses.
Okay, so you're saying support your local businesses, really? Yeah. So shop local, support your local businesses as well. Thanks ever so much for that, Samina. Okay, Paul, let's go over to you. What have you picked out from this week's punchline?
So I've come back to the beginning of the week where you've said next phase of Gloucestershire plan worth billions. This is the strategic and local plan consultation that has been released. The most important aspect of this is the spatial options topic paper, and that's out for consultation until the 16th of January. I can't express how important this document is for the residents of Gloucestershire, not just Cheltenham, Gloucester and Tewkesbury, but for the residents of Gloucestershire, because this is our primary area for Gloucestershire. It's going to be changed. We are going to experience an additional 40,000 new houses and 200 hectares of new employment land. And this paper is basically asking, where should it go? There are 4 options out there. They have a preferred option, which includes development in the green belt. That to me is music to my ears, because I support growth, sensitive growth within the green belt. And I am very ambitious to try and get a new parkway railway station and a new combined hospital between Cheltenham and Gloucester that will become a more sustainable and usable facility for all residents of Gloucestershire. If you've ever experienced Gloucester Royal or Cheltenham Hospital, you will know that they are dated facilities and we deserve better. So this is your chance to have a say on what the future of our county will look like. It's inevitable that we're going to experience change. We need more housing. We need more employment land. And this is the time for you to voice what's going to happen. So have a look at that. Please have a look at it. Underneath your article, Mark, is also the local government reforms. And for those of you who are not aware, we are going to change from 7 primary councils into 1 very shortly, and that will probably happen by 2027. That is important because that will affect the strategic growth of our county. It could make it more comprehensive and more manageable because rather than having 6 different districts pull against each other, we're going to act as 1 county and design things so that we can actually plan our growth where it should go rather than having small boundaries. So it's exciting times.
Yeah, the one caveat to that is that each of the councils have put their own plans in, and it's actually down to the national government to decide what is actually going to happen. So just a aside to that. Thanks ever so much for that, Jim. Going to bring you back in. What have you picked out for Punchline, please?
I was very tempted to talk about a recent article around Blue May, but I think that would be slightly self-serving. So I have picked a Christmassy story, Mark, and this is about the UK's oldest Christmas shop, which is the Cotswold Christmas shop in Lechlade.
Yes.
And this shop operates all year round. And given the state of our high streets and the demise of the high street, I think it's a wonderful story that this shop is still going strong after all this time, and very much underpins the point that Samina made about shop locally. So a great Christmas story, and a great testament to how perhaps our high streets could thrive at some point in the future.
Great stuff. Okay, Jeff, finally, what's your pick of the punchlines?
Well, I picked up on the story about Gloucester Council and their 17.5 million bailout loan. When you start looking into that a little bit deeper, you see years of mismanagement and irresponsible spending. At least that's the surface, how it appears. You don't get into serious debt unless you are spending more than you generate. I used to live in Gloucester years ago. Happy enough sort of childhood there, but when I speak to people that live there now, that they talk about services being diminished, and most people have experienced bin collections every other week, etc. And you see diminishing services and increased costs. I tie that back into the conversation I had earlier about being happy where you live. And I think council mismanagement is not isolated to Gloucester. You touched on before, Cheltenham, Birmingham went through their woes. I don't know how that stands currently, but last year they were Section 114 technical bankruptcy, I think. But you look at where, if it was run like a business, the council would have been bankrupt a long time ago. It's huge borrowing to fund developments without any revenue to support it. A business couldn't do that. You couldn't go to your bank and say, "Hey, lend me 200 grand. I've got a great idea." It's going to take 4 or 5 years to come to fruition. Don't know how I'm going to pay you in the meantime because my income doesn't support even what I'm spending currently. That wouldn't happen, but councils seem to be a little bit immune from this. And I think there's a great argument they could be run a little bit more like a business. I often get the feeling that when state employees are spending state money, it's not their own money. There's no personal accountability, and there's a feeling of immunity that central government may step in to bail them out, which it looks like the cabinet are going to approve it. Where's the accountability within that? I find it a bit strange.
Well, Punchline would definitely keep a very close eye on the story as it develops. Okay, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. If you like the show, please like, share, and subscribe. But I'd just like to thank my fantastic guest. Thanks ever so much for being on the show. For everybody who watches it, and remember, we'll be back again next week. And in between, it's all in the Punchline. Thanks ever so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
If I can find my little cursor. Bye.